The vice presidential debate happened this week, and for those of you who watched it, I think you can be forgiven if you came away from it thinking that maybe, just maybe, this country still has a chance to survive. Now, don't get me wrong, there was still plenty of nonsense. Things like this.
Look, crossings are down compared to when Donald Trump left office.
And this.
There's a young woman named Amber Thurman. She happened to be in Georgia, a restrictive state. Because of that, she had to travel a long distance to North Carolina to try and get her care. Amber Thurman died in that journey.
And there was one scary moment for sure. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. We were all just sitting there, watching, listening, enjoying the back and forth, and then, like a bird of prey sweeping down on an unsuspecting fish, our innocence was all shattered by a belligerent appeal to Christian nationalism.
Look, I don't talk about my faith a lot, but Matthew 25:40 talks about, to the least amongst us you do unto me. I think that's true of most Americans.
Whoa, just who does this guy think he is? Quoting scripture to justify his policy position? I mean, yeah, sure, he's not doing it well. He's butchering the context of scripture, just like the devil in Matthew 4. Walls is abusing the word to advance his own interests. Most people who have opened a Bible for any extended period of time know, of course, that when Jesus is referring to the least of these brothers of mine, he's teaching his disciples about how they should treat other disciples or followers or believers. He's certainly not issuing some geopolitical decree to those yet to be born that they are to coddle and hold as guiltless illegal aliens who rape children in Nantucket. Tim's a few ticks away from a healthy interpretation of the red letters there. But still, this was a frightening intrusion of the majority religion directly into our living rooms. These folks that have been panicked about Christian nationalism apparently have been right all along. I just thought for sure they were telling me it was coming from Donald Trump and not Tim Walz. Huh, that's weird. But overall, this debate was about policy. It was polite. It was cordial. Democrats learned you can actually argue a position without having to call your opponent a racist, a homophobic, transphobic, bigoted, misogynistic Hitler. Walz proved that. And Republicans learned that you don't have to be loud and crass and defensive and combative in order to fight. Vance proved that. That's why this was, without question, the least embarrassing debate that we've seen in America in a long time. Walz was bad at moments, but no Democrat should say he didn't represent them well. And Vance was pretty much strong throughout, proving what it sounds like when a Republican actually articulates policy well. The only really embarrassing thing was, no surprise here, the media. CBS trots out a couple women promising to talk about things that matter to Americans. They spent 8 minutes on climate change, not one question on Ukraine. They spent about 10 minutes on January 6th stuff, but not 1 second on transgender child abuse or men in women's sports. They were 35 minutes into the debate before they ever even asked a question about the economy. They claimed that guns were the leading cause of death for kids in America, even though everybody with a brain knows that it's cars. They announced that they will not be doing any fact-checking, and then 10 minutes later attempt to fact-check J.D. Vance by pushing some left-wing narrative. Now, luckily, Vance humiliated them.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you,
Senator.
we have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank you,
Margaret. The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on.
And then they embarrassed themselves further by cutting mics to try to save face.
The audience can't hear you because your mics are cut.
It's just malpractice again. But this time it was so much worse because you had two guys actually willing to talk policy. But instead, the media would rather push their own ideological agenda. So yeah, I came away thinking America still has a chance. But if we don't make it, we certainly know now where to start with the finger pointing.
Nora?